I don't know if you're familiar with Communities That Care, but that was the thing that I said that I did off the edge of my desk. We did the young adult survey in 2021.
How many people were surveyed?
Over 800 responded.
Okay. And how was that submitted?
Online.
I didn't get it.
It's online. You go to ctcwhistler.com or just anyway, CTC Whistler.
Yeah.
Sorry, would you mind if you sit here?
No, go for it.
You'll see the results of that young adult survey, and there's lots of information.
Yeah, I'd love to look at that. Go ahead.
Like, there's lots of information like that on whether people feel safe in their housing, mental health crises.
Yeah. That's a great resource. I'll check that
So
out.
check it out.
I hadn't come across that one.
We just got the report out for the Whistler community for grades 6 through 12. The similarities in mental health crises.
I read that one. It was in like the meeting minutes of one of the council presentations.
Yeah, it was in a presentation.
They're talking about how like the kids, like a certain percentage of them have had suicidal ideations, and how many of them are engaged in substance abuse.
Yeah, and so same thing with the young adult survey. In fact, the numbers were very similar, and so because families are also struggling with housing as well.
Yeah.
Even if they are in WHA or what have you. I mean, one of the things with WHA is that the first wave of WHAers, like people that have raised their families and their kids have graduated and maybe don't live there anymore, they can't really afford to downsize because they're not in market housing. So they bought it in. I have a girlfriend that lives in a 2-bedroom. She's now a grandmother. If she was to sell her 2-bedroom unit, she could sell it for about $150,000. Where can she go? And so we've also got.
She's not on any other WHA ownership lists.
How could she afford it?
No, but there, I don't know. There's a few that are. There's studio. There are wait lists for studios and 1-bedrooms that are in that range.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it might take a few years, but she could downsize back into WHA.
Where's the advantage?
Oh yeah, I guess it would just be out of the kindness of her heart, realizing that she has an empty bed unit in WHA housing, which is supposed to be meant for employees.
Well, she's not. She's a retiree.
But
still working.
I know, but I'm saying she has an empty bed unit.
She has She has an extra bed, extra bedroom.
Yeah, it's a bed unit. So,
yeah.
Do you know what percentage of the bed units in WHA are actually occupied by current members of the workforce?
So,
I guess you can't.
A really good question.
You have to look at empty bedrooms, children that aren't working, and retirees.
Okay, so.
And also partners that are remote workers.
We've got 85%, 75% of the workforce house. It's I think in rental housing, I have it written down somewhere. I asked the question. It's like 65%, I think, in ownership and maybe around 70% in rental. It's a little higher in rental than it is in ownership. Ownership's lower because you've got more people with kids and retirees.
But how many of the bed units are actually occupied by workers? Okay, but so of the ownership units, what percentage of those are occupied? Of those bed units. So say you have a 2-bedroom. Yeah. By actual people who are actively working.
It's around 60 to 65%.
Okay, that's super interesting. And then the rental ones?
Is higher.
Higher.
I remember it being closer to 70%.
Okay, so I've been looking for those numbers everywhere.
Yeah.
And I haven't. You're the first person.
It was in a meeting. I asked that question. It was actually the housing needs.
Okay.
Maybe it was the housing need. It was either
the housing needs report. I couldn't find it in the housing needs report.
No, it was during the presentation. It was a question that was asked.
I will.
And then the other one could have been balance model.
Okay, I'll look at that. I couldn't find it anywhere. I saw one mention of the fact that when building WHA, they're going to need to account for the fact that a percentage of those bed units are going to be empty, that situation, the empty nesters, or are going to be taken up by children or retirees. But I couldn't actually get any concrete numbers.
Well, there's people I know that are going to be moving into the new building that are only going to occupy 1 bedroom. and will be empty, at least one empty bedroom.
Yeah, and like, you know, when you have a partnership, right? Like, say like a man and woman and their kids, so like say like a four-person family, right? It's possible that only one of those persons is actively involved in the Whistler workforce, and maybe the wife or the husband is working remotely for, you know, a business that's located in Squamish or Vancouver or
a business
elsewhere.
That's operating here that doesn't have a business license. You have to have a Whistler business
To be qualified
license.
as a Whistler worker.
You could still be working in Whistler and be working for a company that's based somewhere else.
Right.
That has a license in Squamish or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's actually quite a few people I know that work for companies that, construction companies in Whistler, but they don't qualify for WHA.
And you know, when you start to talk about construction being an essential service, is building a $20 million mansion essential service, or is building employee housing? Yeah. Okay. So
and repairs and you know, all of the infrastructure stuff that we need.
But it gets really hard in something like that. So if you also look at the balance model, you'll see that we need to build 8,000 beds by 2040.
In employee restricted beds. Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
Did you see the balance report?
I did, yeah.
Yeah. I sent that to Marcus, too.
Yeah, he doesn't
read. What's that? Did it blow his mind? No.